All right, everybody, Samori Benjamin here at Yankee Stadium as we begin the post-All-Star break here with Yankees third base coach Luis Rojas. Luis, thank you for joining me, man. It's really nice talking to you. You are a lifelong baseball man, has been in the game, in your family, and really a pleasure talking to you. Now, your father, Felipe Alou, he's a legend in the game. Him and his brothers played together in the major leagues and all that. A great history with the Giants and teammates of Willie Mays. Just first, what was it like having a father like Felipe with all his time in the game?
I mean, first of all, thank you. Thanks for having me. Your platform here. For me, it's always a pleasure to talk baseball and to meet baseball people on the field. So, I love the question immediately. I mean, I'm from a baseball family, and ever since I have common sense, I think baseball's been like the number one thing in my life. So, you know, just growing up with a baseball person, with a baseball manager, which is, you know, I can always distinguish my dad as a baseball manager because he was doing it at both ends when, you know, and I soon realized he was managing in the States, he was managing in the Dominican Republic, and you know, slowly I did learn his, you know, history, his story, and for me, I mean, I just wanted to copy my dad. Who's gonna and probably emulate my dad too, but just growing up, you know, being in Alou, it was special. I mean, I think every dinner conversation was a baseball conversation. Everything we thought about was baseball. Every probably toy that we had, we turned it into baseball. We brought it into the baseball world. So it was definitely special. I mean, for us, like learning player numbers, seeing like different manager strategies, having car conversations back from the field to the house about plays, like those are like great memories in my early years. So I had to learn the game, I think, just because that was my environment, and I can never thank my dad, you know, for all of that. But definitely special to be part of the family. It gives you that sense of responsibility, just knowing that you're carrying a legacy. With my father playing the game for that long, and my uncles playing the game for that long, and other family members that played the game as well for a long period of time. So now, you know, you're involved in the game, and you're at this stage, you know, being a Yankee, being in Yankee Stadium, like not only you're representing this great organization, but, you know, for me personally, I'm representing a baseball family like the Alous, and it's a big deal for me. So I always want to carry myself like my family carried themselves, like my dad carried himself, and I always run into people just sharing with me how much impact it got in their life. And we're talking about Willie Mays, and he always told me stories about Willie Mays and all the great things he did, and how everything was baseball for him, even in the offseason, going to play winter ball and doing just great things, you know, for their community and for all the diversity, which is, you know, always going to be special for me. So growing as an Alou, which I think I'm still doing it, you know, I'm still growing, I'm still asking for advice. It's been always special, and honestly, I want to be consistent until the end of my life to honor my family and to always represent my family the best way I can.
Yeah, that's great. Your legacy is incredible, and yeah, in fact, your father, I know your father, when he debuted, it was 1958, the Giants were in San Francisco, but when he first signed, it was still in New York, 55, so your dad still has, you know, that lineage, you know, to New York and New York Giants and all that. So yeah, that's beautiful. Now, I was born the same year as you, so now I'm thinking like, you know, early 90s, you know, you had Montreal Expos, your father managing them, and then your brother Moises, you know, he's an all-star doing all that. So I mean, at that young age, you know, what was it like to just be around the game and just see your brother doing this thing and your father with the Expos?
Yeah, so I had to witness, and it was special for me because I witnessed the dad-son relationship, manager-player, and I also saw my dad dealing with different players, different cultures, different personalities, right? And I learned a lot. I picked up a lot from a coaching standpoint, but it also helped me in life. Like, you know, I consider my dad a very humble man, and it really teach me a lot about, you know, just humility, like being humble, and watching my dad and my brother interact every day, and how my brother carried himself, because he did live the big league life. Like, he was a really good big league player. He was an all-star, and he showed up every day, practiced, did everything that he needed to do, had a great off-season. He has a beautiful family, and I also learned from that life. So I think it gave me a really good experience and perspective and how to live a baseball life, and a lot of that I've taken it into my own life. And of course, it's not going to be exactly the same because I have my own way of being, but it really taught me a lot to see things that were probably gonna come my way as my baseball life was moving forward. So for me, that was special. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And like I said, I played a little bit of minor league baseball for 6 years, but the most I learned about baseball was about coaching. It's because my dad was, coaching when I was growing up. So I learned manager's office, how to coach, how to talk to your coaches, and how to relate with players. And I think some of that I adopted it, and I actually use it, from my dad. He was the best teacher I ever had. I think for this game, he's my biggest mentor. So growing up, seeing that, he definitely gave me that I still use it to this day, even though I'm still growing in the game. I think we all still growing in the game, but that was a really good foundation for me.
Guys, got a couple more for you. I know you got to get out of here, so I want to get you out of here. Now, one great memory of your father and your brother, 94 Expos, and myself being from here, growing up a Yankees fan. That was the first time the Yankees really in my lifetime were a first place team, and Yankees were a first place team, looked like they were going to go to the World Series, and the Expos, your father and brother's team, best record in baseball, and then the strike came, so it stopped all that. So now you mentioned you played a little bit in the minor leagues, and then you started coaching very young. So what was it that made you decide to stop playing and to get into coaching?
I mean, it was the last call was made through my dad. It was tough for me to really get out of the baseball player uniform and put the baseball coach uniform, and because I didn't want to. I thought I was failing. You're from a baseball family, so you're trying to make it to the big leagues. That's your goal, and you think you have your whole life plan where you're going to play for an X amount of years, and then after that you're going to retire and be a coach, similar to what my dad did. But that wasn't the case with me. I didn't get to play as much. So when I got released for my third time as a minor league player, it was a decision time, just because I got a call from the Washington Nationals to coach in the minor leagues. And for me, it was really hard to say yes. And knowing that if I say yes, I was immediately unplugging everything. I was retiring, and I couldn't say yes. I told them to give me time, and I was so lucky, because when you do that to organizations, sometimes they don't have time for you. There's other people that want to get in this game and be a coach. And I did talk to my dad a little bit, and my dad's like, listen, I really think it's time. And I was kind of, I want to say 60-40 almost on that side, but I needed that little extra push. And I think my dad gave me that little extra push as a coach, just to go ahead and say yes. And I made the transition, and I didn't regret it at all after the first month. Okay, when I noticed that I could impact as many people I was impacting from the coaching side, after going through my third release as a baseball player, I knew I made the right decision. And 19, 20 years later now, I look back and I'm very proud of what I did, and I'm very proud of impacting a lot of lives, of baseball players, coaches, and people involved in the game, through this career. So I can't thank my dad anymore for presenting the game of baseball to me, and for being a part of this great baseball family as well.
Yeah, at that time your father was managing Barry Bonds with San Fran. Your father was Barry Bonds' last manager. Now, you in the minor leagues, I know you're a Dominican Summer League manager with Nationals and then with the Mets, right? So, I mean, what was that like? Dominican Summer League seems to me like it would be very tough competition, a lot of talented ball players, hot weather. Luis Rojas told me they play they play at 1 o'clock every day. So very hot. So how was that experience for you as a young man?
That was so I knew the league just because I played in that league for 3 years, and I played in the GCL as well. So I knew the weather, and I knew the player, the culture very well, right? And now I know both languages, so it really helped me to connect with the players immediately, because I was one of the oldest players of the group, because the last team I played for was the Nationals. I was already playing in the States, but when I got moved to the DSL as the manager, it was a really easy transition to me, because whenever I went to Instructs or to the academy down there as a player that was playing in the States, I already had a relationship with some of the players, and they already looked up to me, not because of talent, but because of seniority. So that really helped my transition, and that really helped me to connect with the players, and we had honest conversations. That was a really good advice by my dad, just not to be two-person, not to be an authority figure just because I'm in this position, but to be myself and have my own character, and that was going to translate into being the leader because of my job title already. So I think I earned everyone's respect that way, and I was able to connect in that way to teach and to help immediately, and I started growing as a coach ever since then. But the transition for me was easy. I enjoy doing it. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. of the trail that I had up to here. And I thought that was a special first year for me, and I appreciate the Nationals for giving me that opportunity immediately after playing.
And, after that, you're with the Mets organization, and you spent lots of time in the minor leagues and around those ball players, and then in 2017 and 18, you were the AA manager and all that. So you spent a lot of time around a lot of young players in the Mets organizations who eventually you would manage. So what was that like, just being the AA manager and being around those players at that time?
Yeah, minor leagues, so it was a little different as I came to the States to manage in every single level. And then AA was really interesting, of course, because you run into players that are closer to the big league team, and some of them were on the roster. But coming through the minors, the guys that just get drafted, guys that play in different programs in schools, like you learn their culture right away. You learn with the program that they're coming from, and you dig in there a little bit. You ask them how it was, and you can learn from them of things that they were doing in college that were really interesting. And then you bring it into what we want to do in the organization, and there's a bunch of good ideas that you can create out of that. And players, I learned how to treat different players that way, just because I didn't know the college system as well here, because I didn't play college. I got signed out of high school internationally, but it helped me to understand that early in those lower levels. Now, when I got to AA, it was a little different, just because the guys are so close. Now the guys are inquiring into playing winter ball. They're close to the big league. Some of them are on the roster. So the communication with the big league team now is starting to get even closer. So that gave me that little bit of experience on, okay, getting the guys ready for this. What the big league manager wants, AAA manager, AA manager in communication, field coordinator, like all these things. So those 2 years in Binghamton, New York were special to me, 17 and 18. I learned a lot, and that helped me to transition into the quality control coach position that I got in 2019 with the New York Mets.
Mm-hmm. Right, after the quality control position in 2019, the next year, 2020, you get named Mets manager. So after all that time you spend in the minor leagues as a manager and a coach, and even before that as a player, you're grinding, you are named manager of the Mets. And you mentioned that you wanted to be a ball player on the field, so that was a disappointment for you. But now you're named Major League Manager. So what did that moment mean for you?
Yeah, I mean that was incredible. Like, it's probably the highest, I want to say, of my career. Just becoming a Major League Manager it's like a dream come true, right? Because I grew up watching my dad being a manager in different levels, like winter ball, minor leagues, and those are things that I did. And every single time I got into those positions, I got really emotional, because I knew I was accomplishing something that a legend like my dad, one of the best baseball players in the Dominican, history, and a lot of Dominican baseball players have come up through the big leagues. It's kind of like his path. So it's giving me that sense of pride, my own pride, like self-pride of just accomplishing things. So every single spot that I got was a winter ball, minor league, manager in every different level that I went to, or representing the country as a manager, which I did as well. Like, all of those gave me that sense. But when I got to the big leagues, which is the highest level of baseball, higher level of the sport in the world, like, for me that was just the highest of my career. So I remember those days, like, with my family, just being very emotional and excited, just because of accomplishing that, and wanted to share the moment with my dad, which I did, and he couldn't believe it. I mean, I did it at a lot younger age than he did, but my coaching career started at a lot younger age than his did. But it was definitely special. I wouldn't trade it for anything. 2 tough years, going through the pandemic. I think for everyone in the world, there were 2 tough years, that 20 and 21. But thank God I went through that, and now he got me to be a New York Yankee as well.
The last one for you. Appreciate your time. So from that experience, do you think that there's anything that you might have learned that might help you for your next opportunity? And how much do you want to someday become a manager again?
Yes, I mean, it definitely that helped me, of course. It opened my eyes in a lot of ways, and relationship with ownership, relationship with the general managers, which I have four general managers in 2 years and 2 owners, and I learned a lot from that. And the New York media, New York platform as a whole, players dealing with New York as a whole. So I learned a lot, and there's definitely a lot of things that I would I would do different moving forward, just because you got to keep evolving in life. And in this game, of course, you got to keep learning things and how to get better. And I think I learned a bunch of things from that, and then in this last few years with the Yankees as well that I can definitely make better if I get another opportunity to be a big league manager, which is always a dream of I think any baseball coach. So, and like I said, that's what I've done the most in my life. If I get the opportunity, there's a lot of things that I would do definitely a little bit.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I could really stay here and talk to you for an hour. Wealth of baseball information, and I really appreciate your time. And so, folks, a long-time baseball man, great mind, from a long lineage of great baseball players, New York Yankees third base coach, and former Mets manager. So you guys play the Mets next week. It should be fun. All right. You are now been part of both sides. Luis, thank you so much, my man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, folks, we're back.